Hello and welcome to PiscesMoon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kait Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hey everyone! Welcome to the week of April 6th through April 12th. Wow, let's do this. It's pretty exciting. This is an interesting week. We've got completions and forward momentum all rolled up in the same 7-day period. And I'm going to be focusing mostly on the end of the week. There's a lot going on. I'll give you those dates, but the big stuff I'm going to talk about is happening on the 12th when, listen, get ready. I know you're excited. Venus turns direct. Yay, right? Venus turns direct on the same day that we get a full moon in Libra. And who rules Libra, you might ask? And probably you don't because you already know this, but it's Venus, that Venus that just is turning direct the same day. This is very, very big for all things Venusian. I'm talking love. You know I'm talking love, but I'm also talking money and art and beauty and comfort and luxury and all things Venus. So let's get into all of this. Before we do, I've got one announcement, and it's different than my usual. And I'll give you the dates for some of the other big things that are happening, and then we'll get into the main event. Okay, so first for the announcement. I am collaborating with a friend and colleague, Jackie Tempera, over in Substack once a month. Jackie writes a little column called Horoscopes. Let me try to pronounce this correctly. Horoscopes. Okay, spelled with a W at the beginning. She says it's astrology for sluts. So she is the writer, she's the creator, she's the mastermind behind the column, but I am collaborating for astrological details and all of that kind of thing. And it comes out once a month. I would love it if you would go on over and show her some love, show us both some love on her Substack. It is so much fun, y'all. You need to go over there and check it out. The take on astrology is certainly different than what I focus on, even in a week like this where Venus is taking center stage yet again. I will put the link to her Substack down in the show notes, and yeah, go give her some love. And it's just a super fun column, so I think you're gonna like it. While you're over there, go ahead and subscribe to my very, very free PiscesMoon Substack. And you'll get astrology content plus some herbal recommendations and some magical practices and things like that. And it's really fun too. That's PiscesMoon. It's always down in the show notes. Anywho, moving on. Before I get into Venus, there's a sextile. I never really explained this sextile, which is a positive angle, but it's an angle of opportunity. In other words, it's a positive opportunity that you can grab and make use of, or you can let it go and then it's kind of a nothing, right? It doesn't turn bad if you don't take advantage of it. Anyway, there's a sextile on the 6th between the Sun and Jupiter. This is our vitality, our public persona, where we shine in the world, meeting up with the planet of expansion and blessings and spirituality. It is beautiful energy, and if it weren't for what's going on with Venus later in the week, this is what I'd be talking about. So you definitely want to be aware on April 6th that all kinds of blessings are available. This is also a good one for setting intentions, making plans around how you want to expand, how you want to shine more brightly in the world. It's brilliant. Then on 410, Mercury, who's now direct, will merge with the North Lunar Node. This is the North Node of destiny, right? Mercury going forward, that's our ideas, it's our communication, it's contracts, it's all of that. And when it hits for its final pass, this series with the North Node, this is destiny calling. Whatever happens here, whatever ideas you get, you writers, hello to my writer friends, inspired ideas, right? These are fated. These are karmic. These are the ideas, the statements, the contracts, whatever it is. These are the things that you are truly meant to be doing, right? It's gorgeous. I love it. Then on April 11th, Mars is going to form a harmonious aspect with the North Node. So this is going to bring energy to that path of destiny I'm always talking about, right? When Mars makes this trine, we're going to get that boost of energy we've been longing for. It's like great to see the path before you, but I want to go take a nap. That's where we've been with Mars in Cancer. And Mars is still there. This is not him at his best yet. That's going to happen when he moves into Leo, but it is still going to give us some energy as we move along that path that we're meant to be walking, that fated path. I'm pretty excited about this week, you guys. I really am. Is everything perfect? No. But is everything good? Yeah, it's pretty exciting. So hold on. Let's get into Venus. How about that? I'm going to try to have this not be confusing because literally two Venus related things are happening within hours of each other. And honestly, we're going to be feeling this energy for a couple of days ahead of time, and the Venus part of it certainly for weeks. What I'm talking about is we get the full moon in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. So how powerful something like a full moon is has a lot to do with how powerful the ruler of that sign is, because it's the ruler who kind of takes care of and supports the moon during this lunation. So Venus turning direct that very same day, astrologers, you'll hear us say a lot, it's stationing direct. When a planet stations, yes, technically it's direct, but if we looked into the sky, it will look like it's just standing still. It is that place when the pendulum swings all the way in one direction and then hits that highest degree of its swing, and it seems to just hang there for a second, right? Before it slowly starts to pick up steam and gain that momentum to move back the other way. That's when the planet is like laser beaming its energy into whatever's going on right then. It's not really moving, it's just pounding its energy into one spot. And that spot is related to this full moon. So let's talk about the full moon. Full moons bring completion, but there are also times when the moon is at its brightest. So it's this sort of fine line. We're shining very brightly in that area, but we're also ending a cycle there, right? That is the brightest light the moon will shine, and then it will start its waning phase and decreasing in its light. So this is that moment of glory right as the culmination, the ending is coming in, right? Does that make sense? So this is in Libra. Libra's that people pleaser. We have talked about this before. It's been a while though. Libra wants fairness. It wants everybody to be okay. It wants justice. It wants the good of all, to the point that when Libra's in its shadow, it can be like a people pleaser and a martyr. Right? It's like, I want everyone to be okay, so I will sacrifice my well-being for, the comfort and good of everybody else. Venus being strong and stationing direct at this time is really energizing this point and forcing us to look. Full moon shines the light, right? So it's forcing us to look at that place where maybe we're doing too much to make everybody else okay and not enough to step into our own okayness, right? Our own power. But when Venus is involved, it's a different kind of power, right? It's that power of feeling real and whole and comfortable. Venus rules comfort. comfortable in our own skin and our own space. And we can't truly feel that if we're only thinking about everybody else. It is time to close that chapter. Full moon is the opposition of the moon and the sun. So where is the sun shining? The sun is shining over in Aries, that toddler, that me, right? So this is further evidence that what we're supposed to be focused on and putting our energy into is stepping into our own power, standing in the spotlight, taking care of ourselves. But because it's a Venus related, it's not that selfish, like I'll step on your face if that's what I need to do to get my way. No, we're not talking about that. This is a Venus ruled event, and Venus is direct. Yay. We're talking about lovingly letting other people work out their own stuff. I almost said it, but I didn't. Work out their own stuff, and I'm going to take care of me for a while. I'm doing it lovingly, but I'm doing it. I love this so much. At the same time, we've got Venus stationing direct, and oh my goodness. On the 12th, when this is happening, it's bigger than just a planet turning direct, as if that's not already big enough, especially when we're talking about Venus. And you guys who are waiting to hear about how your relationships are going to go, I promise I'm getting there, but I want you to understand why. So, Venus is getting ready when she stations direct. She's 1 degree from Saturn. What does Saturn rule? Boundaries. This is an exciting thing. I know it doesn't sound like it. You're like, wait, I want to be in love and have a soul union and all of that. Yeah. You get to do that. Just hang on for a minute. I promise. But what is that full moon about? It's about lovingly releasing that need to people please and make everybody else okay and taking care of ourselves. What does that involve? Setting boundaries. Who's the ruler? Venus. She's hooking up with the god of boundaries. Oh my gosh, we are going to be able to lovingly set our boundaries. Sorry to say that word so many times, but this is going to be in all Venusian areas. Art, love, money, our time, our work-life balance. Venus rules leisure activities, things we do for fun and for relaxation. So that sense of like, no, I love my job, I love what I do, but I am not putting in 20-hour days, 7 days a week anymore because I also love me and my life outside of work. This is brilliant, you guys. And what am I going to be talking about next week to start the week off? Venus moves into her conjunction with what? You know, I've been talking about it forever. The North Node of Destiny. This is fated love, fated art, fated unions. Where's it happening? We are still in Pisces. These are soul unions, karmic events. Oh my goodness. Could this be better? I don't think so, actually. You know, and I am going to tell you the downside of it, but honestly, there really aren't that many and they're not that big. I think this is so good that the good is going to way be the dominant energy, right? Let me just give it to you since I've introduced this topic about what could be the downside. Saturn rules boundaries. Full moons have to do with culminations. So we've all been on this Venus retrograde picture, right? Old lovers. I know I've said this so many times. I know you guys are getting sick of it, but we're still in that story, right? We haven't closed this book yet. We're getting ready to, though. Old lovers coming back. Are we going to be together now, or are we going to end it for the final time and be comfortable in that ending? New people have come into our lives, but we're sort of, is this the person? Is it not? We're sort of renegotiating our relationships. I cannot tell you, you guys, how many clients I've had over the last couple of weeks who friends have turned into lovers. That's a Venus retrograde story, right? It's like we were headed off because Venus rules friends. She rules all relationships. We were headed in one direction, and now we're kind of rethinking that. Do we want to be besties or do we want to hit the sheets, right? Okay, I think I've been hanging around Jackie a little bit too much. Jackie, I hope you're listening to this. This is your influence making me think all smutty. Anywho, this is a time that we could see endings. Okay. We may cut it off with that the ex-lover who came back around. We may decide that a friendship needs to end because a love story is beginning. I just had a client, I'm going to try to, for anonymity, I will just say that this person had had a professional relationship with somebody that over time, the mutual attraction was very clear. And they literally had to quit their professional relationship to be able to ethically pursue the love relationship. That's the kind of endings we're talking about during this period. For some of us, it'll be way easier, like, yeah, let's quit being friends because I love you, right? It could be that kind of thing. For some, it'll be saying goodbye to somebody, but I promise you, this Venus love story is not over. And if it means cutting somebody out, setting those boundaries, and it's like, nope, you need to go away and you need to stay away this time, right? One, you will feel the karmic rightness of that. And two, I promise you, the love story is still not over. Somebody's coming in. So don't worry, right? Don't be like, oh my gosh, I thought I was in a relationship. Don't worry. It's coming. We're not done yet. Okay. So that's the downside. There could be some endings, but I don't believe they will be tragic endings. You'll feel the rightness of it. Okay. And then, like I said, next week, we're going to talk about Venus hitting the lunar node for the last time as she passes over going direct. This is super cool. I cannot believe I almost forgot this. So before I give you some important dates about Venus, when I was talking about the full moon, sun over there in Aries, I forgot to mention that Chiron, the wounded healer, so this is where trauma lives, right? Chiron is with the sun. So something very, very healing is likely to happen around the time of this full moon. So sorry about that. But that's another thing that's going on during this gigantic event. So whatever's happening, if it's that ending I was just talking about, if it's a new love, if it's some sort of letting go of the people pleasing, setting boundaries, whatever it is, there's going to be something very, very deeply healing connected to it. So maybe you've been holding on and people pleasing because you thought you wouldn't be loved or you weren't worthy of really focusing on yourself. Healing is going to happen around this time. So that's an extra thing that I'm really glad I didn't forget to talk about. So I want to give you some dates for when all of this is going to be happening. So first, this whole retrograde story started on January 28th, depending on your time zone, right around there, okay? That's when Venus entered her pre-shadow period. So when you're trying to put your story together and go, what the heck is Kait talking about? This is so confusing. Think back, what has been the theme? What's been the storyline around Venus kinds of issues? Love, art, money, leisure, beauty. What's been the storyline since the end of January? Things you've been doing, revisiting, rethinking, okay? That's when it all started. Now, we know she's turning direct this week on the 12th, again, depending on your time zone. I want to give you some dates of what's to come just so that if you are one of those people going through a tough time with your creative project, letting go of an old lover that for a minute you had some hopes for, whatever it was, Venus is going to conjunct the North Node of Destiny on the 17th. So just next week, we are going to see, feel, experience that something karmic and fated in this whole story, in this Venus event. Then on April 21st, Venus is going to hit the very exact degree of conjunction with Saturn. So even though she's been in that conjunct energy this whole time, which is why I already brought it up this week, she's going to hit the very, very exact degree. So this boundaries setting time that I was already talking about, this is going to go on for a bit. We'll be exploring and redefining those boundaries and sort of testing them out through to about the 21st, 22nd, 23rd in there. That whole period is going to have to do with those Saturn kinds of themes. Oh, and by the way, I know I was pointing out the sort of not downside of forming boundaries, but that it could bring about endings. You know what else it could be about? I know you're going to like this better. And especially around that time when Venus is exactly conjunct Saturn, Saturn also rules formality and tradition. This is a time when, I don't know, some people are going to get proposals. It'll be that time when you make it official. That's what Saturn likes to do, make things official and formal. So some of us are going to be setting boundaries. Some of us are going to be leaving ex-lovers, ex-art projects, or old art projects. I don't know. Some of us are going to be doing that kind of thing. Some of us are going to be putting a ring on it. Just saying. But still, even then, we are not quite at the end of everything. Right around April 30th, Venus is going to move into Aries, and we're going to start feeling emboldened. We're going to start getting some of that. It's like the love warrior, right? We're going to start having courage and feel bold. Now, in all fairness, Venus doesn't love being in Aries. It's a Mars-ruled sign, but still, we're going to get some kind of bolder energy around that. And then, finally, on May 15th, Venus will leave her retrograde shadow, and this whole thing is done. We got forward momentum. Mercury's going forward. Everybody's going forward. Mars, it's just a forward kind of time, right? Venus leaves her shadow and we move into, let's call it the sequel. I've been using this metaphor of like the next chapter in this retrograde story, right? You can see the writer in me coming out. So we can finally close that book. It is done. And we move on with the sequel because, of course, our love stories aren't done. Our art projects aren't done. The new contracts we've signed, the way we've restructured our work lives, all of those things, they're not done. But this back and forth dance we've been doing is over, and we get to now move into the sequel, right? And continue on. I am loving this. Now, some other stuff are coming up, before, May's a ways off, and we got stuff going on, but where the Venus story is involved, I'm pretty happy. So that's what I've got for you right now. I know it's a lot. I hope this, inspires you and excites you. I really hope you'll go over to Jackie's horoscopes and get all hot and bothered with us. And while you're over there, I really hope you'll subscribe to the forever free Pisces Moon Substack. And please share the podcast. And beyond all of that, thank you so much for listening. I'm super grateful. And until next week, go out and seize the energies of the stars. This is my wish for you always. Until then, bye.